So first, to sew a button, you will need a needle and a thread and a piece of fabric to practice on. Take the first flat button. In our case, our button have 4 holes. So the easiest way is to hold with one hand the button, and with other one we're gonna start sewing. First, we're gonna go to the upper hole and then we will sew across. Then from the wrong side, we're gonna pull the needle to the other hole and we will sew the opposite X. And as you see, we already have the first step. Now we are ready to repeat this step 2 more times to make sure the button is very secure. And as you see, I am helping out with a finger protector to push it, and it will be easier and also will protect your finger from the needle. After we finish, I'm gonna take and pinch it a little bit from the back side, and then I will go through the loop. So this is the first method. You can finish sewing the button with a knot. When all done, cut the thread and make sure to put the needle into the bobbin or the fabric. So this is one of the ways you can sew this flat button with the 4 holes. Now let's get started on a second one. So I'm gonna do the knot and I will start sewing the second button. So we'll take same button so you can see the difference. Now I'll hold it with another hand and start from the wrong side. This time we will go down, not across. And then we're gonna pull the needle through the upper hole and we'll go down as well. And at next steps, repeat 2-3 times to make sure the button is so secure. After all is done, we are ready to do the knot. And this time the knot, I'm going to show you a different way. So we will pinch it a little bit as well, and then we're going to pull the needle and then we'll go through the loop. And I always do it twice to make sure the thread is secure. And then you cut the thread. There is many ways you can sew these buttons, but I want to show you only 3, the basic one that usually it's used most in jackets, suits or coats. So let's start to sewing the third button. I will start from the bottom and then I will go through the upper hole. Then we'll go to the next, and it's almost same as we saw the second one, but here is the trick. This design have to look almost like a square. So now we will do the line the opposite way. And usually I will repeat it twice. That should be enough for decorative buttons. If this buttons is functional, and I mean functional like you use a lot in like unbutton it every day, then yes, 3-4 times is the best to do it for any kind of buttons. So our buttons is ready. Now we're just gonna do the knot again and all set. And let me start to teach you a different way how to sew buttons with 2 holes. On part 2, I'm going to show you how to sew this button with 2 holes. And let's say we need to sew this button on shirt, on a coat that is functional. And as I said, functional, it means when you use it a lot to button and unbutton. So first we're gonna pull the needle through the button, and then we have to go back to the wrong side. When I'm holding the button, as you see, I have a little teeny tiny space between the fabric and the button. If you have a thick needle, you can kind of like put between the button and fabric to hold it, so you have this extra space, or you can just hold it a little teeny tiny bit with 2 fingers. That way don't pull too tight the thread. We have to repeat 3 times to make sure it will be secure as well. Then we're gonna take the needle and pull the needle right behind the button. And then I will spin the thread around 2, 3, 4 times to make sure the button stays straight. Why we need this little space between the button and the fabric? Because when we use as a functional button, you need that little space for the thick fabric to fit between the fabric and the button. So now, as you see, there is a little teeny tiny space and the button stays very straight. Now we are ready to do the knot again and all set. Next button is going to be the shank and decorative button, which have exactly same loop as you see that we will have to sew it. Some of them, they are used on coats as well, and same on military jackets that they call the style of the jacket, not exactly the military. Now let's pull the needle through the fabric and we'll take our button and just go through the button. Hold the button closer to the fabric so it'll be easier for you to pull it all the way. Now from the same spot we're gonna go back, pull the needle and go through the button. Usually we have to do this technique at least 3-4 times because these buttons are usually a little heavier, so they need more stitches than others. So as you see, the button is a little too wiggly, so we're gonna do same thing. Take the thread and spin around at least 4 or 5 times and then hold the button, and then we're gonna pull the needle all the way to the wrong side. That's gonna help the button to be more steady. Now let's do the knot and we are good to go. I hope this mini tutorial will help at least one person, and that will make me very happy. Thank you so much for watching and I wish you all the best. So let's get started learning more.